now tuned into the truth frequency.
Your protection from deception. This is Truth Frequency Radio.
Welcome. We are broadcasting live from the mothership. You are tuned in and listening to Starseed Energy Radio with your host, Jonah Bolt. Starseed Energy Radio, where you can always tune in to hear the colors and see the music. Starseed Energy Radio goes live in 3, 2, 1.
All right, what's up, Spaceship Earth? Thanks for tuning in. You are now receiving a live transmission from Starseed Radio, where you can always tune in to hear the colors and see the music. I'm your host, Jonah Bolt, the Octorian Starseed, and today is January 6, 2016. Happy New Year's to everybody out there. We are happy to be back on the airwaves. Sorry about the last week. We've been traveling around in Panama. Now we're back in Costa Rica, broadcasting live from San Jose. It is a beautiful day here in the jungle. Good to be back. And hope everyone had a nice, happy holidays. Lots of things happening already in 2016. We're going to go over that today. We're joined by Neil in his segment Portal to Ascension. And on the second half of the show, we're going to be joined by Gabriel Roberts, a columnist, publicist, and writer, coming out with a new book and magazine column we're going to talk about on the second half of the show. Always good to have Gabriel on the airwaves as well. With that, we're going to get this show started, but first I want to give a shout-out to starseedradio.com. Check us out for the latest news and updates. We're going to be revamping the website and also the format over the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned to that. I have lots of exciting things planned for 2016. Also, check out starseedtechnologies.com. We're sending you free information on free energy devices, PDF files, lots of things to check over, lots of good information. So check us out. Fill out the form, and we will email you some amazing PDF files on all sorts of cool stuff, including free energy devices, make your own solar panels, earth batteries, all sorts of cool stuff like that. So check out starseedtechnologies.com. And also, if you're into sustainable development, we have some amazing new technologies on there as well to check out. There's a form on the left-hand side. And last but not least, check out starseedgold.com. Starseed Gold is a new type of gold saving system. I'm involved myself. I have been saving in gold the last few months. We have brought on a large number of people, including some family members and friends of mine, and it's an awesome way to get your fiat currency, which is the dollar, onto gold, physical gold. It's a really, really amazing system set up. They are now doing business in 120 or 115 countries around the world. And if you have any questions or want more information, please contact me direct on there. Fill out the form. Also hit the link. You can open up a free gold savings account today. Or you can email me direct. Love to talk to you about getting on this new exchange system. Check out starseedgold.com. And with that, we have our last webinar today of the Synergy Oneness of the Elements, series number 5, the Ether. We're going to be joined by Adam Apollo, Alfred Weber. We also have some amazing speakers, Seven Bomer. And last but not least, our final speaker is going to be Christoph Melchizedek, all the way from Ibiza, Spain. 4 amazing star brothers. I love them all, so it's going to be an awesome, fun Synergy webinar happening today, starting at 4 to 8 p.m. Eastern Time. If you haven't registered, you can go to synergyoneness.com or check on my Facebook page, Twitter feed, or at starseedradio.com. Click the link, register today, and get on board. You'll also be able to view all the series. We got all the elements, Series 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Once you register, you'll be able to have full access to all of them. So again, check out synergyoneness.com. With that, we get the show started with our daily quotes. What we think, we become. Buddha. Short and sweet. As always, good Buddha quotes are the best way to start the show. Thank you, Buddha, for your wise teachings. With that, we're going to welcome Mr. Neil to the show. Portal to Ascension is an amazing new online platform that is bringing the world the latest, the greatest, the newest information on everything from ET disclosure all the way to ancient knowledge, mysticism, you name it. Portal to Ascension is bringing it. And this year, they're going all out with having webinars almost every weekend to bring this sacred knowledge and information to the masses. And with that, we're going to welcome Neil to the show. Neil, thank you for joining us, Star Brother. Happy New Year's. How are you?
Hey, bud. Happy New Year too, man. Great. How are you?
Doing good. My voice is a little hoarse. I've been traveling a lot, so I'm a little bit under the weather. So I apologize to all the listeners that went out there if I sound a little froggy, but we're pushing through. And it's good to be back here in Costa Rica and good to have you back on the air. So we'll get the show started with your segment, Portal to Ascension. If you would, give a little history, background on what Portal to Ascension is, and then jump right into your segment, Portal to Ascension.
Sure. So Portal to Ascension, we're an online integrated media platform. We're conducting webinars on all things, as Jonah said, all things consciousness related, from self-empowerment, UFO disclosure, ET awareness, starseed connection, conscious nutrition. We're literally creating a central hub for anything that can uplift and empower your life, so we can create ripples in consciousness and spread this awareness on an exponential level to everybody across the planet. We're working with some of the most amazing people that are doing the most incredible work in the realms of free energy, quantum physics, expanding people's consciousness, helping them raise their vibration, and then we're taking them online, and now we're tapped into a whole global community, to everybody that has the internet. So I really recommend everybody coming out to our website to check us out, portaltoascension.org. We have an archive of all of our past webinars there, so you can go ahead and check the Ascension Academy, take a look at our past events, shoot us an email, let us know what you think of the website, and be connected with us. So today, I wanted to, last time I was on the air, I spoke about how I wanted to start talking about true world history. So today I want to kind of touch on that a little bit. And Jonah, if you want to jump in, I know you have some things to say about that too. So what... So all the esoteric wisdom that I've been researching for like 10 years, and a lot of different channel material all say the same thing, that there were ancient civilizations on the planet. There was a civilization called Lemuria, there was a civilization called Atlantis. And it's kind of been in the realm of myth for quite some time. No one's really found any proof, or if there was proof, it wasn't really disclosed to the masses. So the timeline for this, though, throughout most ancient scriptures has been around 12,000 years ago. There was an ancient civilization called Lemuria. Something happened to that civilization. It got destroyed. And then right after that, another civilization called Atlantis came about, and that would have been maybe around 10,000, 11,000 years ago. So the longest time, everybody just thought this was myth. But recently, Graham Hancock has come out with this new book called Magicians of the Gods that talks about mainstream archaeology is creating a lobbying group, which is a truther group within the archaeological movement, that is now gaining so much momentum that the alternative people within archaeology are now getting a voice to be heard on the mainstream. Because what we do know is, in archaeology, if you find something that really goes against the norm of what the mainstream accept, a lot of times it's just thrown under the rug, because the gravity of letting that information out and having everybody in the world know what it is would freak everything out and change the whole concept of what we've been taught for hundreds of years. So it's taken some time, but as of 2015, last year, the alternative movement within archaeology has actually taken over the mainstream movement, and they've now are starting to disclose all this information about ancient digs that have been found, that around 12,900 years ago, we can see across the planet that a huge meteorite hit the planet, and there was a worldwide catastrophe. And chances are there could have been an advanced civilization before that that got destroyed by that. And then right after that comet hit, we had around 3,000 years of ice age. The whole Earth was in an ice age. But then that same comet that hit the Earth left a trail that was orbiting the Earth. Thousands of years later, came back to the planet, bombarded again during the Ice Age, and then there was another mass flooding, and another civilization vanished. So we're now finding evidence for this. So all the stuff that's been talked about in the esoteric community and the New Age community for a while, scientists are now releasing it. Jonah was speaking to me yesterday, and he said that NASA has just now said and released that without a reasonable doubt that there were probably ancient civilizations before us, and they've been wiped out. So this information is being disclosed at a rapid rate. Sometime in 2016, it's going to be disclosed on a mass level where we're going to start seeing a lot of documentaries about this. I feel we're going to have our history books rewritten pretty soon, because once we realize that we weren't primitive humans and we evolved to what we are now, but we were advanced civilizations that devolved and then are evolving once again, that opens a whole new can of worms to the possibilities and what has been hidden from us throughout antiquity.
Absolutely, and just to jump on that,
Jonah, I know you had some more information on this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
The article that NASA put out is pretty phenomenal. I'll post it up on Starseed Radio, but they basically talk about some ancient civilizations that they are finding evidence all over the planet, and some of the ancient civilizations that we know for a fact were highly advanced, that go back way more than 10,000 years. There has even been discovery of human remains of bones of humans 2.4 million years old. And also, when I attended the disclosure hearings a few years ago in Washington, D.C. at the International Press Club, there was 12 countries that came there to testify that ET existence and civilizations was real. One of those countries that testified was China.
Right.
And what China disclosed was these 3 figurines that they had carbon dated and tested that went back 2 million years. And I actually got to hold one of these figurines during the break there at the conference. I have a picture of it. So we have carbon dating figurines that were handmade by humans, 2 million years old. And now NASA comes out with this really amazing article talking about ancient civilizations like the Han, the Moran, the Gupta empires. I mean, I've never even heard of a lot of these because we know that they've been hidden from history and hidden from mankind. So when you see organizations like NASA coming out with stories like this, it's very, very exciting. Very exciting to learn more, and very exciting to see what this year is going to hold. So it's definitely happening, and it's definitely being more and more mainstream, because you can't keep it lit on this forever. More and more people learning about the truth. So very exciting stuff happening.
Exactly. Yeah, to add to that too, the pyramids, the ancient ruins from the pyramids and all over the world, the stone temples that we're finding, they're now disclosing that they're not even able to carbon date stone, because stone doesn't have any organic material in it. So all of the dates that they have given us for how old Egypt was, how old other things were, other temples that they found in Turkey just recently, in Bolivia, are pretty much estimates. And the whole archaeological community and scientific community have this whole awareness of that we know, so they don't ever question what if. So since they have this context of linear time that they're going by, they just put everything within that, and if it doesn't go within it, they don't know what to do with it. There's like no button for that. They don't understand how to conceptualize it. So what we've also known now is that the organic material that is put inside in the pyramids are organic material from all the people that have come in generations past. So when we do carbon date things, we're probably carbon dating to the civilization that was there last, not the original civilization. So once this information gets out there and people can kind of conceptualize this, I think we'll definitely make a huge change on this planet. All right. So
absolutely. And
that leads me into my...
Neil, one more thing to add quickly is, I saw a documentary a few years ago where they went into the Great Pyramids and many temples and pyramids in Egypt, and they actually were testing the walls and stones inside the pyramids to see what was inside, in terms of were there torches being burned, were there things like that, what was the elements inside. And what they found was there was never any type of sulfur or fire burnt inside the hallways of the pyramids, which proves that. How did they see miles and miles and miles through underground layers of the pyramids? They had light bulbs, and then they showed ancient hieroglyphics that showed the staffs of some of the priests with light bulbs and light illuminating from it. Yeah. They also discovered batteries, ancient batteries. They were very crude, but they found those in excavations as well. So now we come to find out Egypt had batteries, they had light bulbs. They were way more advanced than what we're led to be told.
Yep. And they even found a hieroglyph just recently. A piece of stone fell off one of the pyramids that revealed this hieroglyph that was behind it, and it was of two people looking up in the sky, and there was this object that looked like a helicopter with a spinning propeller, right? And I was watching the Pyramid Code, and in the Pyramid Code they say that all the guides and all the tour guides that take people through the pyramids are specifically told not to show anybody that exact hieroglyph. You know, so like, what does that say for what they're doing and what their intentions are? You know,
Absolutely. There you go.
All right. So I'm going to go into my spoken word piece today. This is a little different. I usually do this as a rap. The other ones are poems and spoken word pieces that I put to beats, but this one was made as a pure rap, and it's kind of a story, so I'm gonna perform it a little differently. It's called Hybrid Polarity. I'm a gray human hybrid. Yael child, pale skin. The days of vile evil men over now. Smiling. Too many souls trying, path of least resistance if you want to ascend, not leaving this earth, only this lower dimension. I hear Gaia crying, only dying to be reborn again, realizing there is no separation. The Illuminati government is our own projection, so why you tripping, protesting, rejecting? It's only self-hating. We are the sons of men, goddess of Zen, sons of God, call me Zeus. Here now to choose, linearity, ends of calendars let loose. Time is fluid from the beginning of creation, taught by the ancient druids, shamanistic, ritualistic, prolific, sickest lyricist, a lantern crystal bird in the west, Lemurian tablets, Mount Shasta light work of fanatics, delusional normality where we only believe what we see, tap into the fifth dimensional frequency, existing in multidimensional realities, manifesting in planetary systems to teach, a journey through the darkness taking us to the peak of duality, so we can once again see clearly, remember who we truly be, multifaceted beings, soul freeing, the pyramids will start to spin, disintegrate the word sin, wrap my crystals with copper and tin, conduct electricity electromagnetically, traveling astrally through the Merkaba, speed up my aura to 3/4 the speed of light to enter simultaneous time, make the unconscious mind believe this, glasses on my eyes to see the transit of Venus, solar flares, sun gaze, decalcify my third eye and enter the maze, vibrationally raised, there are many pathways to the same place. Source clears this illusionary haze. This is the end of days and the beginning of a new, unconditional, loving phase. Thank you.
Woo! Yes, star brother. As always, amazing spoken word of truth and light. Thank you for that. And if people aren't aware of Neil's segment, it's a slam jam poetry where he goes very fast. We have him slow it down. But as you can see, the thought process behind that is something that is way faster than I can process in words. So that is a true talent, our brother. So thank you for that. Thank you for your wisdom and knowledge, bringing it through in such eloquent, poetic ways. It's always beautiful to hear you speak those spoken words. So thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Absolutely. And now let's jump in a little bit. It's about what's coming up with Portal to Ascension, Neil. Give us a download. We have this 2016 happening. Lots of stuff already happening this year. Financial collapse on the rise. This is happening. Disclosure. Lots of events, webinars. Give us your outlook. What are some things coming up? You have some amazing webinars lined up. Tell the listeners what you have planned as well.
Yep. We're taking it to the next level, man. We're gonna have webinars every single week. Our goal is by the end of the year to really truly have like a university every single day of the week, if we can. Where we're gonna have free events, we're gonna have membership events. We'll have a university for the Ubuntu party from that Michael Tellinger is spearheading. We'll have a university for the financial fraud, so we can teach people what's happened and how to change it. Sacred sexuality, so we can cultivate our own sexual energy. ET disclosure, so we can become aware of the cosmos and our connection to extraterrestrial races. So this is just the beginning right now, and I'm like extremely excited to bring everything forward. We're going to be also doing, after this ET disclosure event, just over a week from now, we're going to be doing another disclosure event with Jonah called Disclosure Now Conference, and that's going to be around the middle of June, I think June 17th of this year, and we're going to probably do like a 5-day-long conference, not just disclosing extraterrestrials, but disclosing everything. Disclosure now of free energy, disclosure now of the God within, disclosure now of what's been happening to us, disclosure now of the financial system. So this is the year that we're going to make disclosure happen, and we're just going to put all of our energy into it so that we can create ripples, you know?
Oh, brother, it's time, and people really need to know about what is out there and available to humanity. Talking about free energy, like India announced a few months ago that they're open sourcing free energy for their whole country. They want people to make these devices. They want to bring free energy to the people. We have major countries now backing the free energy movement. This is exciting. I mean, if India can do it, you would think the U.S. would be the first. You know, everyone's under the belief that the United States is the greatest and best country. And I do believe at one time we were, but we definitely lost that ranking. The only three things we're good at now is imprisonment of people and things like that. And that's not the type of environment country we want to raise our children in, and creating this havoc around the world and having military bases in 150 countries. I mean, that's the stuff that has to end. And the only way for that to happen is to free the people with energy, with food, with water. And these systems are available. This isn't some far-fetched fable. When you hear countries like India announcing that, 1.2 billion people in India, that's huge news. But that wasn't on mainstream here. You didn't see that on CNN. They're not telling the people about free energy and what that is. I've never seen a mention of free energy on mainstream news, ever. You know, so those are the type of things we're bringing mainstream. We're going to bring to the airways. We're going to bring the TV. We're going to bring it all over, and we invite and want everyone to help us bring this movement, not just disclosing ET like Neil said, but disclosing everything. There's new monetary systems. There's new bartering systems. There's the Ubuntu campaign that Tellinger's leading. There's so many new amazing ways we can really grow and blossom and bring back this country. And that's going to be our focus this year. We're going to hit the pavement hard, and we're not going to stop all year long. So this is going to be a very, very exciting year and fun. At the end of the day, you got to have fun with it. Don't take it too seriously. Remember, we're spiritual beings living a physical existence. At the end of the day, our spirits go back to source. So while we're here, let's have fun with it the best we can. There's a lot of darkness going on, a lot of death happening. We have to change that. We have the ability to change that collectively. That's what we're doing, and that's what's going to happen this year in 2016. So it's on, and we're real excited to do that. Talk about also, Niels, on the disclosure event. We have this big disclosure event coming up in about 10 days from now. What's going to happen? Who are some of the speakers? What do you think we're going to hear? And tell us some of the content that's going to be explained and revealed to the world during this event.
Yes. Okay, for sure. So the Extraterrestrial Disclosure Online Conference, online 3-day summit is going to be on January 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th, 8 hours a day. We have 16 speakers. Some of the speakers are James Gilliland from the Asceti Ranch Enlightenment Center for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. Dr. Lynn Katai will be talking about the Phoenix Light. Don Schmidt, who will be speaking about the truth of Roswell. Sherry Wild will be talking about alien abductions, but she comes from a spiritual approach with it, so she's going to be talking about the soul contracts and the reasons for these to advance for the races. We have Grant Cameron, who is a huge proponent in the disclosure movement and has been doing some good work with Steve Bassett as of late, and he's going to be presenting some new information on what he's been working on. And we have Nick Pope, who was the government UFO researcher for the British government, and he's the whistleblower coming out telling everybody about what he experienced there and what's going on with the world governments in regards to extraterrestrials. We have Laura Eisenhower talking about artificial intelligence and positive timelines. So this event is truly a full circle event, fully encompassing everything that we can bring. We have the world's biggest researchers, spiritualists, experiencers, all talking about their experience with extraterrestrials. And the reason why we actually call it extraterrestrial disclosure, not UFO disclosure, which is the commonly used term, is because we're moving away from the separation part of UFO, unidentified, not being connected with. We're bringing it back to these are all interdimensional beings. These are all higher dimensional entities. So this event is really no sugarcoating, no UFO disclosure. Let's get to the point. What is it? It's extraterrestrials, and let's talk about it. So check us out. 10 days from now, you can go ahead and register for all 3 days, or you can just register for 1 day if you just want to see a few speakers. So check it out on portaltoascension.org.
I'm happy you said that, Neil, because a lot of people do seem to harp on UFOs and flying craft, and it's way more involved in that. It's way more deeper than that. And the bottom line is that every single indigenous tribe on this planet knew the truth. The truth is, all of us came from the stars. All of our souls came from the stars. Souls aren't born on Earth. Every indigenous tribe, the Hopi, the Aztecs, the Mayans, the Cherokee, the Dogna tribe in South Africa, the Egyptians, I mean, I can go on and on and on. They all spoke of the star systems they came from.
Yeah.
Every ancient site on this planet is aligned to the star systems that these indigenous people, souls, have traveled from through stargates. They had advanced knowledge of this. I mean, the truth is out. So for the naysayers and for the people out there, you have to do your homework. The game is over. There's no more time and no more time for playing games where people are like, oh, you're crazy for believing in UFOs. No, you're crazy for not doing your homework and understanding that the whole world knew this. This is not some story we're making up or UFOs that are flying around that people are imaginary seeing. This is real. This is truth, and we're bringing it, and we're not taking any more crap from anybody, from the government, from the authorities. Game over. And we are disclosing everything from free energy and on, and Portal to Ascension, what Neil is doing, and the groundwork is just phenomenal. So we're happy to be involved, Starseed Radio. And we're just going to rock it out, Star Brother. It's time. Everyone's had enough. The people have had enough. It's time for the new system. What Buckminster Fuller said, you don't go against the system that doesn't work. You create the new system to make the old one obsolete. That's what we're doing and we're bringing. So it's time. It's beautiful. And we're just so blessed to be surrounded by so many amazing beings. So with that, Neil, thank you so much again for coming on, Star Brother. We'll have you back on soon, and we'll talk to you later today.
Sounds good. Take care.
George Washington grew hemp. Even the Declaration of Independence was made on hemp paper. Thomas Jefferson had hemp fields. Let me tell you all the things organically grown hemp yields. Jack Herring tried to tell us the news.
Freaky Friday with the Woo Crew. Fridays on Truth Frequency Radio.
I'm not looking for a friend. I'm looking for a Jedi Master.
Jedi Master? Yoda. You seek Yoda.
Yoda.
Clear your mind of questions. You must unlearn what you have learned. The Jedi's dream flows from the Force. That is the way of things. For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Its energy surrounds and binds us. Luminous beams are we, not this true master.
All right, welcome back to the show. You're listening to Starseed Radio. Thank you, Neil, again for your amazing spoken truth. We are now joined by Gabriel D. Roberts, author of The Hermit, as well as writer, publicist, always on top of amazing new articles and groundbreaking stuff. We're in 2016. It's a new year, so happy New Year's to everybody out there. We've had Gabriel on the show before, and we love having him on because he's always filled with new information. He is also a writer for Vice Magazine, disinfo.com, and Reality Sandwich. So with that, let's welcome Gabriel to the show. Gabriel, happy New Year's. Thanks for coming on. How are you?
Happy New Year's. I'm doing really good.
Excellent.
And we're off to a great start.
Good. Lots of stuff already happening in 2016. I'm sure you're aware of many things happening, and I know you got some new stuff on the burner as well. So let's open up the show and give us a download. How have you been the last few months, and what's new in the headlines these days, Gabriel?
Oh, man. Well, obviously been working a lot on getting the word out for my book, The Hermit, which is kind of a story about my transition from kind of the idea of just living a life where you're thinking about things and theories that you had as your principles, and then changing it over to operating through those principles and living your life according to them instead of just having them in theory. So that book's been doing well, and Ruby Doe Press has been fantastic in helping to get the word out for that. And but for 2016, something new and amazing has occurred. I have decided to go into to start a new website magazine called Eris. And I'm really excited about that. We're going to be doing some really cool stuff with it. Primarily, it's going to be a mainstream magazine, or so to speak, in more of a like biannual and quarterly, like so the kind of boutique magazine that you might find somewhere. With the nature of media as it is right now, all kinds of old models are falling by the wayside and finding new ways to do things. And so one of the ways that we're going to be able to spread the word about a lot of enlightening subjects is to be able to bring it out to a more mainstream audience, looking at these things through the lens, through a psychedelic or a consciousness lens, and going and looking at global politics, trends in religion, trends in all kinds of activities, and kind of bringing it out that way and giving people sort of that first front and something that they can be proud of, not just like media has become so quick and sloppy that anybody really can write for all kinds of websites and things like that. And so journalism has kind of fallen by the wayside. So on one hand, you have people who have been writing for small websites and things like that, but there's little to no oversight on fact-checking or anything like that. And then you have the big magazines, the established media and things like that, which have a very high level of spit and polish and professionalism, and yet they're owned by corporate interests or by people who have really bad agendas. And so what I'm looking to do with Eris Magazine is to take that, to kind of bridge a lot of the good ideas that you can only find outside of the mainstream media and put them into a boutique magazine and a website that people can go to. I kind of think of it like when you have, there's people who worry about everyday moments. Like today's scary moment is, did North Korea do a nuclear test? Okay, that's what happens today. So right now, there's a bunch of internet bloggers and people that are all writing as quickly as they can about what happened and how they did and what it means and all of these sort of things. That's the wave. That's like everyday waves, like the chatter. But that sort of news doesn't really hold anyone's attention span and doesn't really do anything to edify you as an individual. Now, if someone were to put together an article, even on our web, and it came out a week and a half or 2 weeks from this event, we would be able to see the broader implications of what it means, how it affects us, what's going on, and why we should be concerned or why we shouldn't be concerned. We'll have the time to see where the currents are going. So we're focusing at Eris Magazine on the currents and not the waves when it comes to media and information and things like that. So I think that it's a really beautiful niche that has been established. And because of the beauty of print on demand, we'll be able to keep our overhead costs extremely low, and we'll be able to pay all of our writers equally, which will be, I've never even heard of that, but basically where we have a co-op in our writing. Because in honesty, writing for a lot of the publications that you mentioned that I've written for, none of them pay. And most don't. Huffington Post doesn't generally pay writers. And so you have a lot of people who, like me, have been working for 3, 4, 5 years, and at some point, you start to feel like you're being taken advantage of, or that it's not worth it for you to put your best efforts out. And so this is another way in which taking media, making it better, making it so that when readers read it, they know that they're reading something substantial, meaty, that's been fact-checked and has been kind of looked through strong philosophical eyes. And then then on the writer side, people are motivated to put their best foot forward and put something into it because they know that it's going to be taken a little bit more seriously than kind of your fast food sort of media.
Well, that's amazing, Gabriel. That's really great to hear that you're bringing back some real journalism to the planet, because, like you said, people are so quick to report stories and just jump on whatever the hottest story is, a headline, without really doing their due diligence and checking these stories out and fact checking. Vice News, I personally really support over the years and really love, because they're like on the front lines. They're reporting. They're on the scene. There's no, editors, telling them what to say and not to say. Reporting like that is like user-based reporting. And I feel and I think that should be more of the way of journalism, is being there on the scene like it used to be, live in the scene. We're live from Iraq, and we don't see that anymore. Everything is passed through the editors at CNN and passed through the editors at Fox, and things are said and not said. Like we talked about earlier, India announced that they're open sourcing and wanting to bring free energy devices and energy to their whole country. I didn't hear one mention of that in mainstream media over here on CNN or any of the news outlets. It's topics like that are very taboo to mainstream media. And those are the real topics that we, the people, want to hear about. I think Americans would love to hear about free energy and our government open sourcing that, and topics like that. So this magazine and what you're doing sounds really phenomenal and very needed at this time. And what are some of the hot headlines? Like you mentioned Korea. We also have the thing that's happening in Oregon with the Bundy Ranch. What are some top news stories and stuff that you are covering that you feel listeners should know about?
Well, I think the Bundy Ranch issue is a pretty interesting one for sure. You have a group of people who have had a long-standing set of issues that they've been working through with the federal government. And it's very strange. There's a lot of facts that you can state. The way that things are handled, like looking at the way that, if you or I got together and decided to overtake a federal building, we would expect that we were going to federal prison, especially when we show up fully armed and all of that sort of thing. And it's just really interesting to me that especially when it comes to race or something like that, you look at the way that Black Lives Matter protests are dealt with, and you look at the way that I saw a headline that I forget where it was. It was some libertarian news source, and it showed a bunch of black men holding rifles, and it said, "Black Panthers are roaming the streets of Inglewood, patrolling the streets." Well, you have this idea where you have people walking around, white Americans walking around, open carry with rifles strapped to their backs and things like that. And then I actually watched a video where they had a white guy walking down the street with an AK-47 or an AR-15 that's strapped to his back. Nobody gave him any trouble. And then they had his friend, a black dude, do the exact same thing, and the cops had him pinned down, and it was like completely ludicrous. So there's a lot of this has to do with a sense of entitlement and the way that people are perceiving themselves in relation to the way that the nation is. And I think that this speaks a lot about this us versus them idea, this idea that there is an other, that someone is coming and they're trying to steal all of this or all of that. And it's true that there are a lot of people who are trying to rob us, but normally it's the bank that you are banking with, or the loan officer that you're doing stuff with, or any number of other ways in which people guilt you on a regular basis and you have no complaints. But there's this need, almost this strange need that we have built into us as Americans, that we have to have an enemy of some sort. And I think that's a part of our training, just as growing up in this society that we grew up in. So you have people who are rural, excluded, white Americans who think that it's okay to go and, even if the cause is just for these ranchers, which I don't think it is, they have a bunch of people going in there and basically committing treasonous acts and holding down a federal building and things like that. It doesn't make any sense. And somehow they think that that's okay. No one would dare try and do that in the inner city. You know what I mean? And so there's a problem with that. And I think that that story of the ranchers has a lot of bearing. For instance, how hard would it be to have, instead of having 100 to 150 armed men go in there, wouldn't it be a little bit easier if they all do together a little money to get these ranchers proper lawyers if they feel like injustice is being done? Because, again, having read what these ranchers are saying about the federal government and the way that they've been handled, they act as if people in federal offices, have a vendetta or have some sort of specific hatred towards them as individuals. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to, food stamps office or to the DMV, or you tried to talk to somebody from the IRS about your taxes. But federal clerks don't really have much of the vendetta. They're mostly kind of, they're just doing their job. They're just going through the motions, and in general, it's just a job to them. They don't have any skin in the game, as it were. So this idea that people are out to get you is kind of a paranoia that's been generated by several decades of our own xenophobia, our fear of the other, of the outsider of any type. And it's an American tradition. You can look in our earliest newspapers and see about the German menace coming across when German immigrants came in, when Irish immigrants came in, and then when slaves were freed, it was the freedmen, and then it was Chinese, and you know what I mean? And we still see this now with modern politics, unbelievably. So it's an unfortunate American tradition that we have this sort of xenophobia toward the other, this fear of the other, and it is made into a scapegoat. And Bob Dylan talked about this in that song, Only a Pawn in the Game, where all of our fears are the drivers for these sorts of things. And I think that's really the core of that particular story, is people's fears are being fed, and they're living by way of fear, and that's not a right way to live. So there's that. Again, we can go directly to North Korea and the announcements that North Korea made that they've been doing nuclear testing. And what is that? We should fear them. And even if it's from North Korea's end, even if they're trying to instill fear in the West, it's still the same sort of thing. And at some point, we have to be able to rise above that sort of fear-mongering and look to something better. So, but there's a lot of other hopeful things going on, making all kinds of amazing advances in science and technology and things, stuff like that. I don't know if you saw, but LG, I think it's LG, they just came out with a foldable flat screen. It's as thin as like a newspaper. It's like it's pretty crazy.
I did see that. That's out of control. I saw that, yeah. That's wild.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of interesting things that are going on, and it's when we're plugged in all the time, 24/7, we tend to end up being freaked out about something, and we're not really any different than the paranoid people who, out in rural Oregon. We're still doing the same sort of thing. We're feeding the beast in our head that needs something to fear or something to hate or something to be overwhelmed about. And at some point, we have to decide to live differently than that, and to focus on good things. Advances in technology and in robotics and other things like that are going to have downsides. They're going to have fearful things. There's always a fear of the police state and Big Brother and, totalitarianism creeping its way in. All of those things are pretty much already set in motion. And, not to say that we can't fight it in our own way and figure out ways to change that, but just to say it's a reality that the world that we live in. But we can also see that there are good things that are going on as well. consciousness and people exploring their own consciousness and seeking different ways to change their lives has become more and more popular. Psychedelics research, for instance, has been going off the charts. Things that used to be on the fringe in discussions are now making their way into education. Put it this way, I'm doing my master's thesis on Terence McKenna. And had I done that, had I started that 5 years ago, probably wouldn't have, flown. But now, people were thrilled to hear that I was going to be talking about, psychedelics and psychedelic rhetoric and the discussions about these experiences. So there is a good change in that. And, on one hand, we can be realists and say there may not be a dawn. And on another hand, we could be optimists and say it's always dark before the dawn. And we just live in a fantastic time where we have to decide whether we're going to be the heroes of these stories or whether we're going to be the victims or the sideline people or the naysayers of the story. So we initiate the change. We're the ones who make the difference. And so really, when we look at the news and stories like this, what can I do as an individual about whether or not North Korea has nuclear capabilities? Nothing. And I can't even really do much for, people who are trying to hold down fort in Oregon, who are trying to keep some, cattle ranchers who committed arson to stay out of jail. Well, I can't really do much about that anyway. What I can do is address the way that the people around me think and engage in discussions that ask, the questions on both sides of it and see what's going on. And you can find that 9 times out of 10, we're so imbued with fear that we really have to break out of it. We have to point it out. We have to say, hey, who told you to be so afraid? Who told you to act in such a way that there's an automatic assumption about other people and about the things that they're doing that would make you think that you must immediately fear them. I think in general, the average person around the world is very much interested in loving other people, in having a hot meal and a place to stay. Things like that I think are pretty big. So, yeah.
Absolutely, and I think that there's always more to the story than what meets the eye with North Korea and the Bundy Ranch. And like you said, as an individual, what can we do but just really learn more about it? And if we feel strongly about supporting or not supporting, to voice our opinion. But at the end of the day, North Korea and the Bundy Ranch. I mean, look at the Native American story. You want to talk about land grabs? We can go into that whole Native American story with land grabs and Wounded Knee and the Trail of Tears, and it goes on and on. So we want to make positive change in the world, and I think that the focus on the positive stories, like you said, is really the direction we really need to take, because when you stay in the fear and stay in fear-mongering, that creates fear within yourself. And fear is what keeps people controlled, it keeps people consumption, and keeps people buying materialistic things and stuff like that, so they're not into that state of worrying about the world around them. And we need to co-create a better place for everybody. So it's going to be exciting for your magazine to come out, to do some real stories on journalism and fact-checking, and coming up with different narratives and things like that, to show the people that, hey, there are stories out there that are really not the way mainstream portrays them, and here's why. And that's really needed at times like this, because it really is an information war on what is said, who says it, where the information comes from, and the people, are under attack by the information. Nowadays, people are fed up with a lot of the ways the system and the government is working, and we really need an honest-based media to really tell us what's going on, because most people, especially myself, really feel that the mainstream media is really filtered in terms of giving us the true story and facts of what's happening. And that has to change, because the media is supposed to be representing the people.
Well, this is the fantastic thing about the model that I have for Eris, is that it's run by us, the journalists. It's not run by some mystery person or agenda. If somebody reads it and they see an agenda in it, they can know that it's definitely Gabe. Gabe is running things there. The writers that are there are in discussion with all of these things. So, yeah, this is what we're doing. But there's more transparency there because the stories can't be bought. If individuals are actually looking at the story and they know that they can speak without a filter, that's what I want from the writers that I love the most, and the ones who are underrepresented. I'm going to continually find the best writers who can do that for me and who can really put something beautiful out with Eris that speaks to global politics, religion, consciousness, and all of the arts and things like that. So it's really fantastic because we don't have to worry about somebody else telling us what to do. We can set the tone, we can set the standard, and then other groups, other people, all the people who are kind of operating in older ideas are going to have to scramble to find a way to do something similar, or at least make it look like they're doing something similar.
Absolutely. And I think, Gabriel, one of the things that you said is talking about the psychedelic and ayahuasca and how the last few years has really taken to mainstream ever since the Time magazine did that article when their journalists went down in the jungle. It's sort of given it more of a spotlight. And to me, that is such a big leapfrog into the consciousness of humanity that these sacred plant medicines and these ayahuasca, these roots, these medicines that are really here to open up our awareness should be mainstream and talked about and really embraced. All the indigenous tribes around the planet have used these for thousands of years to open their consciousness. That type of information, I think, is really key to helping humanity open up their third eye, open up their awareness to a better way of living. I think if everybody really understood how connected we were to each other, connected to the planet, connected to everything, we wouldn't really have this much turmoil around the world. And although that may not happen overnight, at least it's the beginning of something that really is bringing some light and awareness to people that had no clue, like the Times reporter that went down there and tried ayahuasca and wrote a whole article about it and opened up his awareness. So things like that have really been awesome to see the last few years coming mainstream, and I think that McKenna and people like him, Alex Gray, and all these other visionary artists and people that have really led the way into just opening up your awareness, opening up your consciousness, and seeing that we can be and act and behave and create a different reality. And that, to me, is one of the biggest stories, I think, of the century, is going back to the roots of awareness of we all are together on this planet as one, and we need to go back to that.
Absolutely. And that's definitely one of the biggest goals to Eris, is to show more of the ways in which people are similar rather than the ways in which they are separated and all of the lines of distinction. Those are all labels that we put on ourselves and others. And we're trained to do it. We have to somehow break the training.
There's a public outcry for people who want a better planet, but there are powers that be that let the people panic. Look at the Gulf of Japan. Could they have really
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Gabriel, for coming on. Gabriel, Robert.com, and good luck with